Acosta and Bill Simpson.
What made you want to write a novel, and why this story?
I liked storytelling very much, and without even thinking so much about it, that where this desire of telling a story came from, I began thinking when was the earliest memories of me trying to tell stories. And in Cuba sometimes this is what we do. We don't have so much distraction. And then, I was in a border school at some point, and the way to distract us was actually telling a story, telling jokes, So it was part of my daily life without actually knowing and without even anticipating that I was going to end up writing a book.
A lot of people here will be wondering how on earth you've found the time to write the book, since we were hearing earlier that the life of a dancer is rehearsal 3 to 8 hours a day, depending on where you are in a performance. When on earth did you find the time, and how did you keep the privacy necessary?
The classical repertoire doesn't stretch me anymore. I have done it many times. I have done Swan Lake, Sleeping Beauty many times with many companies around the world. So I needed to escape from that a bit, because it could be very, if you are a creative person, it could be very monotonous at this point. I could go open my computer and escape. I began writing about this colourful world, the sea and everything. And then when the next call comes, when I had to do, whatever, this fight with Tybalt in Romeo, and then I've been away, in my head I've been away. So it's a very good alternative to my dancing career, and it's very healthy. And it makes me also want to dance more and dance with sort of like a fresh air. I determined that the narrator was going to be unstable. Schizophrenia is a line that runs in my family, in my genes. And I had a relative lost to this illness, and I determined that the narrator was going to be sort of an unstable narrator. Because of that is where all this tendency of exaggeration, the magical realism, even the things that are not quite accurate, I could hide it, with this narrator. And so if it becomes like, obviously it's magical realism, but it's purposely made to characterize the narrator. My generation tends to live from here to the future and never go back. And there is a line there that says, by one of the characters, that says, and no one knows who really is until they don't know their past.
I wondered, Carlos, if you could tell us where some of those older voices came from. Are they ones you heard, or are they stories you'd heard from previous generations in the family? I
mean, my father is all over the book. My father, very wise but very raw. He grew up in a time in Cuba which almost the black men had no space, and he always tell me story like. I'm not even going to talk about the 30s, which was his childhood, but even, in the 50s, you couldn't even, black men in certain things in the capital had no business. You could get in jail if you were a black man and they see you walk in the streets. Of course, he's very, very wise. All the time, he would say that had a tremendous depth and philosophy behind it, but using the pigs and animals and the forest and very, very, the environment that he lived, of course. But behind that, he had a lot of depth and, a lot of meaning. It was a natural born savvy man. And of course, this is where all those voices of Benicio telling Oscar, all this kind of philosophy that the man doesn't go and everything, it's all my father. First and foremost, I'm a ballet dancer. I'm a dancer. That's what I do when I'm 9. Since I was 9 years old, that's all I ever done. And choreograph and writing, they are still new worlds for me. I think they produce an alternative because, as we all know, we cannot dance forever.